terms. Okay.
Sorry about that, Suzanne.
That's okay, Shay. Maybe you want to hit continue.
Then something, but Shay Nelson is the coordinator.
Oh, okay. Are we good to go?
Oh, yes, we're good to go.
Okay, great. All right. So please do check out that document as well. The next slide I want to show you, if you haven't been to our website, I know that ODE's website hasn't been all that friendly in the past. We're working on it. This is the new physical education standards and resource page. So I'd encourage you to take a look at it. We have nice sections for laws and regulations, our standards, a toolkit, and connections to our CDC grant, Oregon Healthy Schools. So this again is a great resource that I'm going to encourage you to check out. Okay, next slide. One of the final resources I really want to make sure you're aware of is that Shape America has a new COVID-19 health and physical education resource library. There's a plethora of information here. There's webinars, instructional tools, other resources, and guidance documents for in-person or distance learning, some of the suggestions that you can and guidelines that you can follow there from Shape America. It's a really great resource, so I strongly encourage you to check it out. Okay, next slide. One of the things that we wanted to stress today is a bigger picture of a program called CSPAP, which is Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program. This is part of a federal effort with the Centers for Disease Control. Shape America is also on board with this concept. And the goal is to really provide a variety of activities, physical activities, to enable all students to participate in 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity each day, which is the recommendation. We know that unfortunately this is not happening in all the 60 minutes is not happening in physical education. And what we do want to stress is that physical education is the foundation of CSPAP, and there are opportunities before and after school and during school for physical activity. Brain boosts in the classroom are one great example. Before and after school programs are another. And that the comprehensive school physical activity program also includes staff involvement, which is just good for everyone's health, right? We need to move as well. And there's a piece for family and community engagement to take what students have learned and help them practice that knowledge and skills that they've learned in physical education. So if you'd like to learn more about CSPAP, please see the link here on Shape America. I know that we'll be sending out and making these slides available to everyone, so you'll have live links to click on there. Okay, thank you. So the last thing I'm going to share today is that we want you to know that we're here for you at the Oregon Department of Education. So please reach out to us for any kind of support we may be able to lend you. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to email me, and I will try to assist you in any way I can moving forward. So just want to say again, please check out those resources. Really appreciate you doing the pre and post survey. And I'm very excited to turn it over now to Jean to tell you a little bit more about Special Olympics Oregon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Suzanne. And I certainly would say that with our partnership with Oregon Department of Ed that we so appreciate it. It's been so great to work together. It's allowing us with Special Olympics Oregon to reach out to a whole new group of schools we've never worked with before. And so I just want to take just a minute to explain the connection between Special Olympics, Unified Champion Schools, Young Athletes, how they all connect together. I think when most people think or hear Special Olympics, they think of that once a year track meet or the once a year bowling tournament that maybe happens in the community. But I want to let you know that we actually are a year-round sports training and competition program for both children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Most of our population is adults, and so we're really now focused, we've been actually focused the last 13 years to really increase our youth participants. And so you'll see in my virtual background, choose to include. Well, that's what our school program is. We have a school program called Unified Champion Schools, and it's basically engaging students pre-K to university, both students with and without intellectual disabilities or students in special ed and gen ed, together in activities that create a much more inclusive school environment and also provides opportunities for friendships. Students with intellectual disabilities opportunity to participate in school activities that maybe they haven't been able to participate in the past. So one of the things I wanted to let you know as a resource, and Shay, if you can put up the slide with the Unified Champion Schools, is we also during this time, we are doing virtual programming. And so I'll have Shay put this in this chat box, but on Facebook, we have a Facebook page called SOAR Active. And that is a resource that you can send to your students, your families, that they can go on, and it's just resources. It's just activities that we're doing through Facebook to engage athletes, and it's for athletes of all ages. So that's a resource for you. And then with Unified Champion Schools, we have basically 3 different components or 3 different ways that we engage students. We have unified sports, we have inclusive youth leadership, and then we have whole school engagement. So young athletes is part of our unified sports piece. And all that means is we've got students with and without intellectual disabilities or students in gen ed and special ed coming together to participate in activities. And so young athletes is our program that's geared towards basically K through 5, but it can work for middle school and high school students as well, because depending on their abilities. And so with that, the slide that we'll share with you in the presentation, it's got a couple of videos that are resources for you to take a look and learn more about Unified Champion Schools. My contact information is there because Shay and I work around the state to get Unified Champion Schools programs going. We have resources from Oregon Department of Ed. We have resources from US Department of Ed where we can help get programs started with equipment, with professional development like today, with uniforms, whatever you need to get a program started in your school. So we are currently working with over 125. Our goal this year is to increase to 180 virtually. We're still going to do it. And by doing activities like today, we actually have a lot of new schools that we've not seen before. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Diana and Sarah to let them give you more information on young athletes, which is why you came here today. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jean. I appreciate it. So hello, friends. How are you? Melissa, if at any point you need us to tell the kids to behave in the back seat, we're happy to do that. Don't worry. That has been my dream. So don't make me turn this car around. That's it. All right. That's it. I'm so excited. Sarah and I are so excited to be with you today. Thank you all for being with us today. We're so grateful for you. I want to give you a little bit of an idea of what the day is going to be like and how we're going to kind of construct the sessions. What I am going to ask you all to do is only once, and just at the beginning, I'm going to ask you if you are able to turn your cameras on, because we are going to do an activity that I would love everybody to participate in. If at any point you would then like to turn your camera off, I won't take it personally. I'll cry a little bit on the inside, but then I'll be okay, don't worry. And then we can kind of go, I want you to kind of feel comfortable, but I want you to engage in this. So to begin this activity, to begin this kind of session today, I would love us to just take a second and check in with ourselves. We are in unprecedented times. I can't tell you the number of times I've said that in the last 9 months. I really hope that at some point I can stop saying it. But the amount of just change and chaos and stress and all of it. So check in with yourself. If you need to take a couple of breaths before we begin, take a couple of breaths. If you need to stretch out, before we begin, stretch out. Do whatever you feel like you need at this time. All right. My name is Diana Katai. I run an organization called Coaching Peace. I am not the expert in the room today, though. All of you are. And my co-facilitator, Sarah Spella, who is with me today, is one of the amazing experts in the room today. And I'm so excited to have her with you and for her to share. I can't think of, in my 25 years of working with PE teachers, I can't think of another teacher who was more innovative, just absolutely embraces education, and is more of an amazing human being than Sarah is. So I'm so excited that I'm presenting with her today, and you all will hear from her. There are so many faces that I do know, and there are a lot of faces that I don't know. So here's what I would love to begin. If you could throw in the chat just 3 simple things: what grade or subject you teach, as well as where you're located and how many years you've been teaching. Let's just see the collective kind of experience that we have in the room. So if you wouldn't mind just throwing that in the chat right now, kind of as we go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a game. I start every single training that I do with a simple kind of activity because I love it. And when we went to the virtual world, everyone's like, oh, you're never going to be able to do your fun icebreaker anymore. And I'm like, that is, just give me a challenge and I'll figure it out. So we are going to play a robust game, okay, of Zoom rock, paper, scissors. Zoom rock, paper, scissors, okay? I know. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it tournament style. And if you would like, you can make it full body, okay? Full body. So here's the way that this game will work. Look, Sarah's already, she's in it. She's already in it. So here's the way it'll work. You can either be one of 3 things. Rock, which would be just like this, right? Or if you're standing up, you can go down as long as you're still on your camera. So it's just rock, simple. Here we go, space. You're welcome for my artwork. Or you can be scissors, which is like this, scissors, okay? I don't know if that represents scissors, but it did. So there we go, okay? Or you can be paper, which is just like this, paper, okay? Very simple. That was the easiest one to draw. There we go, paper. Okay, so we have rock, paper, scissors. Now, let's just review. Paper beats rock, scissors beats paper, and rock beats scissors. Now, this is a little bit of the honor system here. This is the way the game is going to work. You are going to find someone on the screen. You're going to find someone on the screen, okay? And you are going to play against them. If you lose, you turn your screen off. If you win, you keep your screen on. And you keep playing. I'll keep counting rounds. You keep playing until we get down to the kind of final 2 on the screen, okay? Are there any questions before we begin? And if the question is, how much caffeine do I have in a day? It's really none. I only drink decaf, which is so odd. All right, are you ready? I will count you. Find somebody now on the screen, find somebody. You can do, it's gonna go on 3. So I'll count 1, 2, and then 3, everyone will show. Okay, because I know that's always a bone of contention. All right, are we ready? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs middle. We're ready, yes. Okay, find somebody on the screen. 1, 2, 3. If you win, keep your screen on. If you've lost, turn your screen off. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. If you win, keep it on. If you lose, turn it off. Ready? One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right, find somebody new. Find somebody new. You can look on the other screen. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, turn your screen off. Turn it off if you've lost. Keep it on if you've won. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more round. Turn it off if you won. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so close, so close. If you're still in it, let me know. What do we got? We got Sarah, we got Shay.
Oh,
All right.
okay,
Oh, Kathy
Kelly, are you doing it?
and Kelly, are you in or are you?
Oh, she's okay. Okay, Kathy, ready?
Okay, ready, set, 1, 2, 3. Oh, Sarah, we didn't even plan it. All right, fantastic.
Well, Diana, I just want to let you know that for the few people that were at the end there, I have a couple of, oh, shoot, you probably can't see them. Oh, yeah, some youth games, cinch bags. And I wrote down Nicole, Kelly, and Kathy as sort of the last three people lost on the screen, in addition to Sarah and Shay. But I figured we shouldn't give gifts to the presenters and staff. So I will mail those out to you three. Congratulations.
I lost to Sarah.
Look at that. We got full participation. You didn't even know there was going to be a winning prize. I didn't even know there was going to be a winning prize. Thank you all for engaging. So there's a couple of reasons why I absolutely love rock, paper, scissors, right? We want to create environments in our classrooms and in our spaces, whether we're on Zoom or whatever, where kids can be here in this like unprecedented, like unbelievable space of joy. Right? Where I feel vulnerable, and that vulnerability and trust actually brings joy. And I want us to kind of feel that today a little bit as well as we go through this. We'll go through a couple of slides, we'll do some work, and then we're really going to put some work back on you. We're going to get into some small groups, and we're going to ask you to kind of design and create some lessons of your own using some of the tools and tips and things that we talk about today. Remember, this is kind of collective knowledge. If you look through the chat, I mean, we've got a lot of experience in the room and a variety of different grades and subjects. And this is going to be kind of fantastic and awesome in every possible way. We're going to try to make it not like any other Zoom training you've ever been on before. So before I begin, Sarah, do you want to just, like I've done a little bit of an intro of yourself, but do you want to introduce yourself and give a little bit of your background experience?
Sure. Well, first, I just want to acknowledge everybody who's taught all day today online. I'm sure this is the last thing you want to do for a couple hours after you've been online. So I really appreciate you guys, seeing you guys show up. This was Teacher Sarah today, if you can see that. I was a princess all day. I dress up every week for my kids just so that they can come and see what Teacher Sarah looks like, and hopefully that hooks them in to being part of the PE class. I've been teaching adaptive PE. This is my 30th year, and that is a picture of our amazing field day that we did every year with our motor development team. And that little guy is still one of my students today. So 30 years experience teaching adaptive PE. I lived in Portland, Oregon since 1996. And I am actually retiring this year. So I'm really excited to be able to move on, but still work with kids and work in the capacity of helping kids, just doing something different. But I'm just really happy to see you all here and recognize that it's been a long haul and we still have a ways to go, but together there's nothing we can't do. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah. So here's what we're going to do today, friends. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of the young athletes, kind of curriculum and training that Special Olympics has put together. And I want to go through it not quickly, but I'm going to go through it kind of, in a short amount of time. And then I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and Sarah's going to really kind of dive deep into how do we teach in this virtual world? What do we do? How do we create environments that are safe, that are welcoming, that are educational? What are the things that we can do, and give you some really good tips and tools? And then what we're going to do is put you in some breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, we're going to ask you to kind of design some lessons and make some adaptations for those lessons. And then we're going to come back and we're going to really share out. This is an opportunity to kind of learn from each other. So there's going to be some interactivity as well as kind of just some overview of stuff. So the Young Athletes Program, if you can go to the next slide, Shay. Okay, so the goals of the program are kind of simple, and I don't want to read off slides. So I want you, if you want to kind of take an opportunity to kind of read through here. It really is kind of an opportunity to not just create opportunities for students with intellectual disabilities, but also create opportunities for students with or without intellectual disabilities to kind of come together and learn from each other. So next slide. There are 9 areas that the Young Athletes Program covers. It kind of covers foundational skills and then goes through these kind of fundamental movements and then covers advanced sports skills. Today, the work that we're going to do, we're going to kind of focus on the center here around this, the kind of fundamental movement skills between walking down to kicking. But we're going to overview the entire program for you as well. Let's go to the next slide. So there's kind of a couple of resources that are available. The first is an activity guide, and the activity guide is online. You can access it in multiple ways, and I'm going to go online to show you where it is on the website. There is just a treasure trove of resources that are on the website. Once you get there, it's a little hard to navigate, but once you get there, then it's all kind of in one place, and I'll show you what that is. So we've got the activity guide, and then there is a curriculum, okay? And these are very scripted kind of lesson plans that you can use. Now, obviously, these lessons are not for virtual learning. However, they can be adapted for virtual learning, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that today, the different kind of ways that we can do that. We're all hoping that we're not virtual learning forever. So hopefully that we move past this at some point. At least the extrovert in me is definitely hoping that we get to that space. One of the things to kind of recognize and important is that when kind of going through these lesson plans, they don't need to be followed in order. So there isn't kind of a sequence to this. They can kind of be taken as you need, which is kind of a nice thing if you need a filler activity and you're just kind of looking for something in that moment. For those of you that are not doing virtual learning and you are back in schools, this is great. Obviously, you can kind of plug and play right away in some of this. And some of the information that Sarah is going to go over, although we're directed toward virtual learning right now, is actually kind of going to be applicable, you know, in the classroom as well and kind of one-on-one. So let's go one more kind of slide here. So we're going to, let's skip through this. And Shay, actually, let's go to the website. Or maybe you can... give me access, and then I can go to the website.
Yes, I will give you access.
I have power now. Be afraid, be very afraid. Okay, let's do this. Okay.
Hey.
Continue here, okay. So we will put the link in the chat so that you know where to access the Young Athletes Program. There's some general information that's here. What I'm going to kind of draw your attention to is this activity guide right here, right? So if you click on this, the activity guide, it will go straight to all of the activities. We're actually going to use this today. So I want to make sure that you have access to it. Don't worry, we'll make sure that you have the link to it. In the activity guide, it will go down and there's all these different activities from those kind of 9 skills that we talked about, those foundational skills, all the way down to advanced sports skills. There's obviously visual as well as verbal kind of descriptions of what each of these are. And it talks about all the equipment. In the beginning of this guide is kind of a list of some of the equipment that you need. Sarah's going to go over today some of the ways that you can make adaptations if you don't have equipment or you are doing something in virtual learning spaces. The other thing that we want to draw your attention to is the Young Athlete activity videos. These are really great if you need kind of some type of visual that you want to show in either in your class and or if you need a visual to kind of recognize or understand how something might work. The curriculum is right here, and these are kind of where the lessons are. I don't know if you can see that though. Can you see the? I'm not sure if you can, but it's okay if we don't. If you're not, we'll do it this way. Okay. So you have kind of each of these lessons, and although they are stated week 1, day 2, again, they don't need to be followed in order. There's not a sequence to it. And we'll go through each of these lessons, or each of the kind of activities we'll go through today. All right. I'm going to stop sharing here just because so we have a little bit, can see people back again. And we can go back to the presentation slide if you want, Shay. All right, so we go one more, kind of go through. Keep going through and then we'll come back. So this is the link to the site. So we can copy this link and we will put it in the chat. We will also make sure that you have that link so that you can go through it as we do our kind of work today. If we can go back to the presentation, once we get this link in the chat, I would like now to turn it over to Sarah, who's going to give us kind of an overview. We'll start off with some tips for some online and virtual learning, and then we'll kind of move into some other strategies as well. So Sarah, over to you.
Hi guys. So I know that especially when you teach physical education online, it's really difficult to be able to get those concepts across, especially when you don't have control over the environment that your students are in. So one of the things that we start with is, what is the environment? Are they in their bedroom? Are they in the living room? Are they outdoor covered space? Kind of becoming familiar with where they are doing their work is important so that you know what challenges or limitations that they may have in that space. One thing I like to do when I'm working with the kids is, when I want them to come back for instruction to the computer, I do a harmonica blow, and I taught them that at the beginning so that when they're all running around doing their activity and it's time to come back to do a transition or get some more instruction, they know when they hear their harmonica that they come back and they attend to the screen for the next piece that we do. Being able to focus on what the students can do rather than what their challenges are, I think is really important, because you know, if you look at a student that has challenges, say physical challenges, cognitive challenges, communication challenges, and they're just, you know, two-dimensional between you and the screen, it's really difficult for you to think, oh my gosh, I've got like a soccer unit. How am I going to teach soccer, you know, to this student who's not only has challenges, but now we've got challenges because of where they are. So focus on what they can do. You know, I usually go to the 5 senses. Are they able to see? Are they able to hear? Can they feel, touch, see? So those are some of the things I look at to be able to incorporate some of the adaptation. So one of the things that I did at the beginning of the year, especially for kids who have a difficult time attending or maintaining focus, was to provide them with a visual checklist of what the PE session would look like. And it's very basic. And we will show an example of that. And basically, it's just a checklist for them to go down and show that they're being supported while they're attending to the different pieces that we're going through. A token board is a way to engage our kids who may have behavioral problems and may be refusing. So giving them something to work towards, if it's a favorite book or treat, and then setting it up for success so that within that example that you will be getting of the visual, if they check those 5 boxes, then they get their reward. Using a sibling or a PSW, I'm meeting a lot of new people now because a lot of parents that I have PSW support. So PSW are the people who come in to help support the kids' respite, and working with them to help provide those supports for the kids. One of the things I do for kids who are easily distracted is have them pin me as the instructor so that they see me on the screen, so they're not distracted by or wanting to engage with the other kids. We do have a time and a place for that, and we want that to happen, obviously, but during instruction is not the optimal. So pinning the instructor is helpful to get them that focus. Very important, and I learned this the hard way through instruction, is giving them the time to process. We are so quick in going from one thing to the next thing. We want to get it all in, and it's really important, especially for our kids who do have motor processing issues, to give them that time to be able to respond and to get the feedback that they need. If you have a video, like for me, I send a video out every week of what the next week will be, and on the video it includes the materials that they need, walkthrough of the actual activity, and just whatever reminders we have for the classroom, and just reminding the parents that they pause the video to be able to do the activity and then come back to the video when they're finished. What I found is if they're watching the video and they don't pause, and I'm doing an activity and I'm doing it too fast, I might have done 10 jumping jacks in the time that Johnny does 3, and that can build frustration and anxiety. So pausing the video and allowing them to be able to participate and then unpausing it kind of takes that anxiety and that time frame away. Video modeling is really important. So teaching a skill to a student and then actually videoing the student doing that activity, and then sitting down and watching with the student so that they can review what they've done and possible changes. So as an example, if they're doing an overhand throw and they're not stopping with they're not stepping with their oppositional foot, you can definitely see that in the video and then discuss that to make those changes in that activity. So the next slide.
You have to go 2 slides, I think, Shay. So, oh, go back. So,
Not ready for breakouts yet.
that's right. So, Sarah, maybe you can kind of talk about a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 scenarios and provide some examples of adaptations that you've made. I know you've got some show and tell as well.
I do. So I picked visual impairment because obviously, like, that's a tough one, especially when we're online. And the other one I did was a cognitive delay or intellectual disability with the processing as well. So with the visual impairment, I've got many students who are visually impaired who are sitting in front of the computer, and it's really obviously very difficult because they can't see. So I'm relying on what they can hear and what they can feel. And so one of the examples I had was they make this, it's called like build tape. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's like, it looks like Legos. It's raised and it's got tape on the other side. So when I'm teaching a specific game or activity that has boundaries or a goal, I can lay out what the gym is on a clipboard in a mini version, and then they can feel what that layout is. and then we walk and take the steps to figure out where the goal is, where the sideline is, where the other players may be. So giving them that tactile, that feel of where things are in a smaller version can get them to visualize what the playing field looks like. I also use a lot of sound. So this is a squeaky for a dog from Inside Toy. So you can put these inside soft balls. You can have the parents stand behind a goal with this. So it orientates the student with a visual impairment to where the goal is. And then you just squeak it so that they can continue to follow the sound to where the basket or the goal is. I had a visually impaired student 2 years ago, and we were doing basketball. And I don't know about you guys, but bell balls, you know, they're really hard plastic and they make the bell sound, the beeper balls. They just don't work for me. They're really heavy, they're cumbersome, the kids don't like them. So I had a high school student who is completely blind, and she was dribbling. And of course, if you know anything about those beeper balls, you can't dribble them. They're just stupid. So what she did was she said, why don't we take a plastic bag, this is from Target, and tie it onto the ball. Now, when she dribbles, she can hear the ball with the plastic shuffling, so she can orientate her hand. I'm closing my eyes, and I can orientate my hand to the sound of the plastic. So stuff like this, I mean, you know, a lot of times it's meeting that individual kid, because not all adaptations work for all kids, right? So we want to make sure that we want to honor them as individuals. I have a lot of kids who need adaptations, but they don't want to be different than any of the other kids. So we try to have other kids in the classroom utilize the adaptive equipment that we have, so that the student isn't the only student using that adaptive equipment. And I guarantee you bring a cool piece of equipment into the gym, everybody wants to try it. Everybody wants to use it. So it's a great way also to bring those connections for all of our kids, to recognize that we are all different in our own way, but we can all play together, which is really, really a great feeling. Great feeling. I have this tether. I don't know if you can really see it, but I have a lot of parents who are helping their kids right now, and they are exhausted because they're doing the job that our parents do. And so I'm trying to think of ways that the kids can become more independent and the parents don't have to retrieve the implements all the time. So this is just a broom, and I have twine, and I've got a balloon. And so as an example, for like some of the kids who might have cognitive delays, they might have difficulty grabbing, grasping, catching. It might bounce off their chest because they don't have the reaction time to be able to grab it. So this is a great way. It's tethered. You can make it as long or as short as possible, and they can throw, and then it comes back to them. And it's high float, so it's slower, and they can motor process and be a lot more successful with being able to catch. Balloons are awesome. They can be used for all different skills, and it's a great way to start to increase success before you move on to different implements as well. What else? HitMit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but anytime you start introducing implements to kids, it can be really difficult for them to hold a racket, to hold it the correct way, to have the strength and the wrist flexion to be able to actually hit an implement. And of course, with those motor delays, that adds another layer. So a hit mitt makes your hand the racket. So now you take out that racket piece and now you've just got your hand as your racket, and it can be used, you know, for badminton, tennis. Of course, you're using a variety of balls. You might have a lower type of net. You could be doing it sitting. So a lot of these things, it's just kind of like being really creative and finding different ways that will the kids will love engaging in, but also find some great success and work on those gross motor skills that we really want them to be able to at least have a functional level of.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Are there any things that you have found? We're going to get that schedule so that you can kind of see an example of the schedule that Sarah put together. And Sarah, are there any things that you have found to be really successful with keeping kids' attention in kind of even this virtual world on Zoom? Are there any things that you have found just that have been, you just really helped?
So number one, I would say structure. So especially with special needs kids, they really do well with structure, predictability, what comes next, because there's so much anxiety with this whole way of learning to start with. So having that structure and knowing what comes next and being able to be prepared for that really gives them a sense of accomplishment and increases their self-esteem and doesn't add to the already challenge that we face online. So having that is really important to kind of give them a sense of what's coming next, but also maybe when's the best time to take a break. Because I don't know about you guys, I know there's 30-minute sessions, there's 45-minute sessions. Some of you high school teachers are teaching an hour, 15, hour 30. That's a long time to be attending, even if you're up and down and doing what you're doing. So to be able to have that structure, to be able to know when would be a good time to take a break is a relief for a lot of our kids, so that they're like, oh, you know, this is going to be like 50 minutes of me not being able to take a break. I can take a break after this or whatnot.
Thank you. So we want to put a little bit of work on you, and then we're going to kind of ask some questions and kind of come back. So we're going to put everybody into breakout rooms. And in the breakout room, and I think we've got kind of, for some reason I'm not seeing it, but Shay, is it? Oh yeah, it's here. Okay, got it. In the breakout room, what I'd love you to do is you're going to kind of come up with a mini lesson, choosing kind of the activities that from the young athletes guide, right? So you'll click on the link so that you can see, and then only one person has to have access to a computer in order to do that. And Shay, I'm actually going to take control of this for 1 minute just to show people what's going on. So what you're going to do is the link is going to take you to a Padlet, and in the Padlet, you are going to kind of with your breakout team create a mini lesson here. You just click the plus sign and it'll give you an ability to kind of type in. These are the directions to that. We want you to start off with like thinking of a student that you may know who has a disability, intellectual, cognitive, physical disability, and just kind of have that student in your mind as you're kind of thinking about this. We'd love for you to choose 2 activities from the activity guide and kind of create like a 3-minute mini lesson. Like if we were going to teach this to somebody and do this lesson, what would it look like? And then thinking about that student that you have, and maybe you kind of collectively as a group pick one student, think about the adaptations that you might make, the creative ways that you might make in teaching this in the virtual world. And if you are not teaching in the virtual world, then you are welcome to do that, kind of what it looks like even within a classroom. Kind of what Sarah, and I'll let Sarah talk a little bit about this, kind of think about the following: the equipment you might need, what additional resources you might need to aid the student, what the space requirements are. Sarah, am I missing anything that we want to kind of think about?
No, I think that, I think pretty much we're all in it right now. We're almost mid-October, so I think we're all familiar with what the kids might have or might need, what their space is. And we've probably seen them at least a few times online to be able to recognize where they may be struggling. So I think that's where we start, when we start to see where those challenges are, but also knowing the kids like we do when we've had them in brick and mortar. How does that transfer over to what we're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And keeping those kids in mind is important, because I think it makes it more personable. And it's something that you can just take from here and use with those kids right away.
Yeah. Thank you. So once you kind of figure that out, you'll place your lesson really high level. We don't want you to like write out a whole lesson plan or anything under your breakout, so that everybody can kind of see some of the adaptations that folks made, what that kind of lesson looks like, what some of your ideas are. This doesn't have to be in any formal way. You can just kind of bullet point it just so that we kind of get an idea. Sarah and I will be popping in and out of breakout rooms to ask if there's any questions. We'll give you about 5 minutes to kind of get started, and then we'll start popping in case you have any questions, or you just want to bounce some ideas. Go mute. There we go. All right. So once you kind of get into your breakout room, our goal is that, number one, you get a chance to kind of just look over this activity guide and see some of the activities that are in there. Number two, there's enough collective knowledge in the room that you share that knowledge with each other, that you really kind of come up with some incredible ideas and share some of those strategies with each other. And then we'll come back and we'll debrief that. So Shay will kind of put everybody into a breakout room. Please make sure that when you go into a breakout room, you make sure you recognize what number breakout room you're going into, because that'll correspond to this Padlet. Shay will also, if we have not already, put the Padlet, I'll do it as well, link into the chat so that you can kind of pull that up right away. And we will go into breakout rooms now. So Shay, if you could put us in there. We'll see you all in about 15 minutes.